Hello everybody, welcome back to another video, and in today's video we are going to be doing another update of Washington Reagan National Airport. There's not really a ton to go over at the start of today's update. Of course, just like last update, we have the JetBlue Embraer finally in a Reagan update. I can't believe we finally have that aircraft into a Reagan update. Of course, that plane is an absolute staple of Reagan. I think, it's been operating here for the last 20 years. It's been one of the most prominent types of aircraft at this airport, and we finally have it in an update. But apart from that, we also have a very special visitor into today's update at the end of the video, so stay around for that. But starting off here on the runway, we have this Alaska Boeing 737 MAX 8. This aircraft is just about to depart out to Los Angeles in California. But then moving on to the American Eagle section, here we have this American Eagle Embraer E175. This aircraft is going to be heading out to Nashville, Tennessee after arriving in from Raleigh in North Carolina. We then have this American Eagle CIJ-700. This aircraft has arrived in from Cedar Rapids in Iowa and is going to be heading out to Manchester in New Hampshire. We then have another American Eagle CIJ-700. This one has arrived in from Norfolk in Virginia and is going to be heading out to Madison in Wisconsin. And then next up here we have an aircraft we don't get a ton of at Washington Reagan. We have the ERJ-145. These aircraft operate around the US still, of course, but they just don't fly that much into Reagan. But this aircraft has arrived in from Philadelphia in Pennsylvania and is going to be heading out to Asheville in North Carolina. The reason why I've added this ERJ-145 into the update is just because we are still lacking in American Eagle aircraft. I'm still waiting on a release of an American CIJ-900. As soon as we get one of those released, of course, I will come back and I will make another update of Reagan with the CIJ-900s in these updates, but for now we have this ERJ-145. But moving on, here we have this American Embraer E175. This aircraft has arrived in from Buffalo in New York and is going to be heading out to Milwaukee in Wisconsin. And last but not least, for the American Eagle section, we have another ERJ-145. This one has arrived in from Grand Rapids in Michigan and is going to be heading out to Charleston in West Virginia. Moving on to the mainline American aircraft now, here we have this American Boeing 737-800. This one has arrived in from Orlando in Florida and is going to be heading out to Chicago O'Hare in Illinois. We then have this American Airbus A320 that's arrived in from Dallas Fort Worth in Texas and is going to be heading out to Boston in Massachusetts. And last but not least, for American, we have this Airbus A321neo. This one has arrived in from Phoenix, Arizona and is going to be heading out to Los Angeles, California. I know these A321neos, pretty much I only send them out to the same destinations, and that's just because these are the only destinations that these usually do. The A321neos, they just fly mainly to Phoenix and Los Angeles, occasionally going out to Las Vegas as well, I believe, but we don't really see many other routes other than that. Of course, I'm still waiting on top of the CIJ-900s. I'm still waiting on a good release of an American A319, A320 and A321, ideally from NG. The A319s in particular fly a lot into Reagan to some really interesting destinations around the US. So hopefully we get some of those soon to add into these updates. After that, here we have this JetBlue Airbus A321. This aircraft is going to be heading out to San Juan in Puerto Rico. This is the only A321 route we get on a regular basis from Reagan. Of course, the A321s are pretty rare here apart from this route. So yeah, this A321 is going to be heading out to Puerto Rico. And next up here we have the JetBlue Embraer E190. I am so glad we were able to add some of these into Reagan updates before, of course, they are eventually retired later on this year. So yeah, this JetBlue Embraer E190 is going to be heading out to Boston in Massachusetts. And last but not least, for JetBlue, we have this Airbus A320. This one is going to be heading to Fort Myers in Florida. Next here with Delta, here we have this Delta Connection Embraer E175. This one is going to be heading out to Boston in Massachusetts. We then have this Delta Connection Embraer E170. This one's going to be heading out to New York LaGuardia. And last but not least, for Delta, here we have the Airbus A321. This one is going to be heading out to Minneapolis in in Minnesota. Moving around to United, here we have this United Boeing 737-800 heading out to Houston Intercontinental in Texas. We then have another 737-800 heading out to Chicago O'Hare in Illinois. And then last here for United, we have this 737 MAX 8. This one is going to be heading out to San Francisco in California. Next up here we have the Southwest Airlines Boeing 737-700. This one is going to be heading out to Nashville in Tennessee. We then have the Southwest Airlines Boeing 737-700. This one is going to be heading out to Atlanta in Georgia. And then last but not least here for the terminal, we have this Air Canada Express CRJ-900. This aircraft is going to be heading out to Toronto Pearson in Canada. And then last but not least for the updates, here we have Donald Trump's personal Boeing 757-200. Now that he is president, of course he won't be using this himself. He will of course be using Air Force One operating out of Andrews Air Force Base. Now during his first presidency, this aircraft was briefly used by his family until it fell into a state of disrepair. I don't know what's going to happen to this aircraft this time around, but I'm going to be saying that this aircraft is being used by his family. Just arrived in from West Palm Beach in Florida and is going to be heading onwards to New York LaGuardia. But yeah, this aircraft, first time around when Trump was elected president, again, as I said, it was used by his family briefly before it was just sort of abandoned at New York Stewart Airport, before it then had to get a massive refit done, and he's been using this for his presidential campaign. So again, I'm not sure what's going to happen to this, whether Trump's going to leave this to rot again before then doing it up once he leaves the office, or maybe he's actually going to take care of it this time, and maybe it's going to be used by his family more. I'm not too sure. But I wanted to utilize this aircraft one more time because no matter what you think of him, this aircraft just looks absolutely amazing. But yeah, with that does conclude today's update of Washington Reagan National Airport. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.